happens after you get struck by lightning? There's thunder.
Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. So the Philadelphia Eagles are still the only undefeated team in the National Football League. So welcome to the Nicky Stees Eagles Weekly Recap. And if you're new to the Hardcore Sports Network, please do a favor, drop a like on this video and subscribe to the Hardcore Sports Network. Please do the same over on the Nicky Stees channel, as this is being also broadcast there. So, how about them Cowboys? We were hearing it from Cowboys fans all week about the Eagles are overrated. They're not really this. They're not really that. Blah, 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 blah. Eagles are overrated. Cowboys are the real deal. Cooper Rush is our guy. Yada, 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 yada. Well, now, here we are after week 6. We're the only undefeated team. And for the third time in franchise history, we've won our first 6 games. So, that's right. Make it first time since the 2004 season we've done that. Hey, Mitch, thank you for coming in. Happy to be on here talking about the Philadelphia Eagles and their winning ways. They continue to dominate, now 6-0. So for the Cowboys, Cooper Rush was supposed to be the guy. As Michael Irvin put it, in Rush we trust, huh? How's that feel now, Cowboys fans? How does that feel? Y'all are begging for Dak to come back now, aren't you, huh? You saw what happened when the Cowboys were able to win games against teams like the Cincinnati Bengals, the Giants even. But to be fair, the Giants have actually turned out to put up a pretty good run thus far. They are 5-1, so I got to give the Giants some props on that at least right there. But you're talking a struggling Rams who look like they might be middle of the pack and might still have a chance at winning their division. But you're talking really a middle-of-the-pack Rams if you take away the fact that they play in the NFC West. Like, who else are we talking about here that you guys are playing? Come on. I mean, we're looking at the schedule. The Commanders? Come on. Not on this show. That'll be for another show. But we're talking about those teams, and I'm supposed to be impressed by that? Well, what happened when you had to go against the only undefeated team in the league? Terrible. You didn't get it done. Cooper Rush, 3 interceptions, huh? What I thought, Mr. In Rush we trust. What happened to that there, huh? 3 interceptions, huh? And your kicking game's not looking so hot, is it? Not good look, Cowboys, huh? That's right. Eagles beat the Cowboys again. That's right. But okay, so now I'm going to get into the serious part of this recap. Yeah, what's good? I'll tell you what's good. Eagles are still the only undefeated team in the league. That's what's good right there. We were in control most of that game. That's right. And now that I got the fun part out of the way, talking smack to the Cowboys, now time to get into the serious part and actually provide a recap of this game. So obviously we got the W. We're 6-0. And as you can see right there, third time in franchise history, we're 6-0. Last time was the 2004 season where we made it to Super Bowl 39 and fell short. But man, it feels good. I feel like we've exceeded expectations going into the bye week, going into week 7. I mean, even with all the talent around us, there was still, and the way I was putting it, I'm like, okay, we have all this talent around us. We got a lot of good going in our favor on paper, but we still got to go out there and get it done. That was my thoughts going into the season. And so far, we're doing it. And we're always finding ways to win games. Regardless of the situation, regardless of how good or bad we look, we're finding ways to win. And every game always has its pros and cons you can take away from it. And this game's no different than that. Which I'll get into that in a second. But you know what? We're finding ways to win games regardless of the circumstances. You know what I mean? Hey, it's one thing to be a hyped up team that's got all this talent around you that on paper should be a contender, but it's another thing to actually deliver on those expectations, all right? I mean, we were in this situation a little over a decade ago, 2011. We had a ton of hype on paper, but we didn't deliver on the expectations. But here we are now, 2022, different story than the 2011 team. We're delivering on expectations. We're winning these games. I mean, yeah, so let's get into obviously, hey, we got the win. Our offense, we were looking pretty good. Jalen Hurts, how about that? 2 touchdown passes. There were some concerns after last week's game. Oh, he's not throwing touchdowns. He's doing this. He's doing that. You know what? But he threw 2 here in this game. He threw 2 touchdowns right there. He got one to A.J. Brown, one to Devontae Smith right there. So, hey, ain't nobody going to talk bad about him after that right there. Miles Sanders, 18 carries, 71 yards, and a solid performance right there. But you know what? Hey, and I got to give, you had Jack Stoll. He had that one reception. He came up with that crucial 3rd down early in the game. The one reception for 21 yards. That counts for something right there. And hey, how about the Eagles? They were going for it there early. We got that 1 4th down conversion early in the game from A.J. Brown. And then, obviously we followed that up. I mean, we did get the Cowboys to jump into the neutral zone, cause a neutral zone infraction, give us automatic 1st down. We capped that drive off with a touchdown there. Okay, we score first. And we were in cruise control that 2nd quarter. I mean, our offense was on fire. We were on fire. 20 points, that's right. We were up 20-3 at halftime. But then the second half, things started especially that 3rd quarter, things were looking ugly. It got to the point where it was 20-17. Ezekiel Elliott, he was starting to look a little like the old Zeke there for a minute. With 13 carries, 81 yards total for the game. And he did get a touchdown out of it. And he was looking pretty solid right there for a bit. Even Tony Pollard, 11 carries, 44 yards. Now, I did say this Cowboys team going into it had a good run game, so I'm not surprised by the fact that they were running the ball good. It's just, I was hoping that we would do a better job stopping them, but I'm not going to complain about that because it didn't change the end result of the game. But that 3rd quarter, man, when Ezekiel Elliott was starting to look like the old Zeke a little bit, that did get us a little worried there, like, oh no, they're starting to come back. Because, there's any time we watching a game and I start to see the opposing team come back and make it closer, there's that worry of, oh, shit, they're going to come back and possibly win this game. So there was a worry there. And I know I'm not the only one here that was worried about that. I know you guys that watch this, you'd have to admit it too, that you were a little bit worried watching that there as well. So, but you know what? We did come back in the 4th quarter. We had that big drive right there. We went downfield where we got the touchdown. We recently took control of the game right there. And you had that, Devontae Smith touchdown pass or touchdown reception, I should say, that he snatched, burning Trayvon Diggs. Now, I did say going into this game, one of the keys is we got to test Trayvon Diggs right there because Trayvon Diggs, look, he's awesome. He's a great defender when it comes to deflecting passes, but he also does get burnt too, and he has habits of giving up plays. And he gave up that touchdown at the end right there. So we tested Trayvon Diggs there, and it worked in our favor, like I had hinted at going into the game. And then you saw Diggs, he threw down his helmet. He was all sour and butthurt about and got an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. Didn't exactly do the Cowboys any favors there, did he? Neither did that missed field goal at the end of the game when that 51-yarder missed right there by Brett Maher. Didn't do him any favors there either. Yeah, Cowboys haven't had too much consistency at kicking since they cut ties with Dan Bailey, now have they? And speaking of kicking, shout out to Jake Elliott. He came back, first game back, made both his field goals and both his extra points, and he hit a 51-yarder. Now he's tied David Akers for most 50-plus yard field goals by an Eagles kicker. And you know Elliott's breaking that record. It's not a matter of if, but when. So David Akers, you know he's going to be ready to crown Jake Elliott the new king of 50-plus yarders for Eagles franchise history. It's not a matter of if, but when, and we know it's coming soon. Definitely before the end of the season. If it's not against the Steelers, might be after that, might be 2 games from now, but it's going to be coming soon. So we're still on that. Give credit to Jake Elliott right there. But Britton Covey, yeah, I'm still not sold on him. But hey, you want to give credit to the defense, too, for the interceptions. So C.J. Gardner-Johnson, 2 INTs in this game. You see, once again, this is just making Howie Roseman look good all of a sudden. This year, everything the Eagles are doing, it's making Howie Roseman look good. This C.J. Gardner-Johnson trade where we pulled off at the last minute before the 53-man rosters were official, that was an awesome pickup. I was happy about it at the time, and now I'm completely validated in saying that yes, indeed, that was an awesome pickup right there. We fleeced the Saints on that one. And we know C.J. Gardner-Johnson, he's still young, so he's still got some mileage ahead of him. We still got those 2 picks. Now, he did have a hand injury, unfortunately. He did have to leave the game, but he came back. He got a pick late, so that hand injury didn't stop him. May have took him out of the game for a little bit, but it wasn't going to stop him. But speaking of injuries, I do have to acknowledge, unfortunately, the bad news is Lane Johnson did leave with a concussion. And we did have that period in the third quarter. We weren't moving at all offensively. And I saw it last week with the Cardinals game when once you had Kelsey and Dickerson left before they returned, the offense started to struggle a little bit. And Lane Johnson not being there may have been a factor too in us not scoring more points in the second half. It may have been a factor there too. So that's one thing that I was worried about right there. And I even said, I gave a hot take on the Sunday morning show on the Hardcore Sports Network that the Eagles' offensive line health will play a factor in the outcome of the game. And, well, it did play a factor because our O-line minus the Lane Johnson concussion, we did stay healthy for that right there. But I do feel like that the Lane Johnson concussion may have played a factor in us not scoring as many points in the second half. I do think it was a factor. Now, the good news, though, is we do have the bye week, so it gives Lane some time to recover from the concussion. And hopefully he'll be back for the Steelers game. If not, the game after that. But, hey, it is what it is, right? But, at this point, just prayers up for Lane Johnson on a recovery right there. So, yeah, obviously we'll have to hope that he recovers right there. But, obviously there's always going to be stuff from every game. The injuries are going to happen. It's just part of football. You can't avoid it. You don't want it to happen, but you just know it's going to be a thing, though. So, obviously, I already said what I was going to say there about Lane Johnson there. But outside of that, we stayed healthy through the game right there. In our O-line, we didn't have any other major anything serious happen on the O-line that was concerning outside of that as far as health goes. So that's a good thing right there. But hey, man. It's an awesome game right there. And to everyone that's in on this stream right now, if you haven't done so already, do me a favor, whether you've seen it on the Hardcore Sports Network or on the Nicky Stees channel, drop a like if you haven't done so. And do me a favor, subscribe to both right there. If you haven't seen my Nicky Stees channel yet, quickest way to get there is to search on YouTube. Type in Nicky Stees. It's the first channel that appears up with the Eagles logo at the top, Sixers logo at the bottom. In the middle, Eagles and Sixers talk with Nicky Stees. Text in the middle. That's the profile of my channel right there. But it'll appear on the first result when you search my channel into the YouTube search. So easy to find if you haven't found it yet. But if you haven't done so, do me a favor. Just drop a like there and subscribe to that channel. But from this game, man, hey, I'm always happy that we beat the Cowboys no matter what, man. The Cowboys are our most hated rival. It's always been that way. and it always will be that way as long as the Philadelphia Eagles. As long as the Philadelphia Eagles and Dallas Cowboys are in the NFL, which they will be forever, it's always going to be a main rivalry no matter what. There's always going to be at least one primetime game between these two games every year, just because it's two big market cities like Philadelphia and Dallas. So there's always going to be that going behind it. And for the Eagles, we've always resented the Cowboys. Part of the reason why is because historically, not currently, but historically, the Cowboys are a much better team historically than the Eagles. Obviously, currently, different story. But all those years the Cowboys were winning during the Tom Landry era, and then eventually later on the Jimmy Johnson era, we resented that. And we couldn't win any ring. We won some battles, but we couldn't win the big games there. And the Cowboys were winning all these championships. So there is some part of that too, but there's a respect factor behind that too. But obviously that's part of the reason there's always going to be that hate for the Cowboys. And we're always, because of that history, we're always going to love to upend the Cowboys like we did Sunday. We're just going to love to see that. And obviously we don't play them again until Christmas Eve. By that point, I'm sure Dak will be back and be in the lineup right there. But man, I feel like, hey, we exposed Cooper Rush, though. We did. Because going into this game, again, they didn't have a lot of good competition going. They didn't have really strong competition. Their strongest foe going into this game were the Giants, let's face it. Because, hey, they're off to a 5-1 start. They're winning games. Lake's game collapses by the Packers, Ravens, or not, they're still finding ways to win games, and they have 5 wins. So that's something else we got to look forward to, or the Giants games right there. So, yeah, I got to put some respect on the Giants' names for their effort thus far through the season. But long story short, outside of that Giants game, who have the Cowboys really played that you look at as a threat right now? Potentially. Going in, before all the teams they played going into this game. I can't even really say Tampa Bay Buccaneers at this point, week 1, because now they're struggling. They lost to the Steelers. But the point being is the Cowboys haven't really had didn't have a hard schedule going into it. And Cooper Rush, he didn't really have to step up and play big against the Bengals. Really, he didn't have to really play big against the Commanders or the Rams right there. He was, even the Giants even though they're the best team thus far out of those teams, Cooper Rush could just make the plays when he needed to. He didn't have to really force anything. He didn't have a lot of pressure on him, so it was easy for him to look good statistically in those games. But here against the Eagles on Sunday night, see, we have a top defense right here in this league right now. I mean, all around, you look at our defense, maybe minus stopping the run, we're a good defense. I mean, that's really our only weakness that I see is stopping the run. But other than that, we are a top defense. No mistake about it. Nobody's going to dispute that right there. Nobody, even Eagles haters, will give credit where credit's due right there. The only valid critique you can give our defense, like I said, is the run. And Cooper Rush having to go against this defense, what did he do? He folded. He choked. He threw 3 picks. He was being forced to make plays, and it didn't work out. It didn't. And we got to him. We had those 3 picks, 2 from C.J. Gardner-Johnson, 1 from Big Play Slay, Darius Slay Jr. Hey, and you know what? He had to throw the ball against real secondary, and you saw what happened. He stunk up the joint. That's right. So this Eagles defense came to play. I mean, obviously the third quarter was a bit of a concern right there. I mean, even though we're winning games right now, I just get a feeling this not scoring as much in the second half, one of these games, it's going to cost us a game sometime in the future. I just if we keep doing that, it's going, well, to be fair, we're going to lose a game at some point inevitably, even though obviously I don't want us to lose any games. I want the Eagles to win all their games, just like everyone else does. But we know realistically it's going to happen at some point. Even if we want to win every game, we know we can't. We know we just have to accept the fact that a loss is going to happen at some point. Okay, so yeah, it's going to happen at some point. But I just get a feeling like with the way we're playing in the second half offensively, we're not scoring as much as we do in the first half, most of our games. I just feel like inevitably at some point down the line, that's going to cost us a game some point. Don't know when it's going to happen, but I just feel like if we keep doing that, it's going to happen eventually at some point. So we do have to do a better job scoring in the second half. Now, to be fair to the Eagles in this game against the Cowboys, they did score that touchdown when it was 20-17 when the Cowboys were inching in our lead. We tried to go for two and we failed, but you know what? It doesn't matter because it was enough to help us. It helped play a role in us sealing the win. So with that and the final interception there by Gardner Johnson after returning from the hand injury, it helped us out. But yeah, I do feel like we got to do a better job scoring in the second half at some point in this season. And I've said this before in previous weekly recaps and previews, so I'm not going to go on about it too much. But that is the one thing I feel like we got to do better on, and stopping the run, of course. So those are the only two weaknesses I found from this game that we got to improve on at some point, especially not so much for the regular season, but especially for come playoff time. If we're really serious about competing for a championship and winning this year, we got to brush up on that for the playoffs because obviously it can still happen. We can win. 2017, we were all of a sudden dominating out of nowhere. Some people thought, okay, give it another year or two before you win. But guess what? We didn't. So we said, no, forget tomorrow. We're winning this year. And we did. And we can take that same mentality with the momentum we have now of forget tomorrow, forget trying winning next year. Let's win it again this year. Come on, we're already 6-0. We're the only undefeated team. We're hot. Remember last time we got red hot? That's right. We won Super Bowl 52. Why not go win another championship while we're red hot? Huh? Why not do that? Let's inch in a little bit closer on our competition in the NFC East for all-time Super Bowls. Let's do that this year while we have the chance to. If we want to do that, especially come playoff time, we got to be scoring in the second half. Especially if we do make it to the Super Bowl, we got to play a team like the Buffalo Bills or even the Kansas City Chiefs possibly. We got to brush up on that. Score in the second half. We got to do a better job stopping the run right there. So those are just some simple things. They seem small on paper, but I do think we got to fix up on them as the season goes along. I mean, right now it's not hurting us in the early portion of the season because we're still winning games. We're still undefeated, but it is something we got to work on as the season goes along. So, I emphasize that point right there, that something we got to improve later this season right now. So obviously, and as far as, what else is there to talk about? Now, I give this team credit, though. They have gotten better they haven't been committing so many boneheaded penalties. I know there was a problem the first couple games, but it's not happening here. It's not. So it doesn't really happen that much. We only had 2 penalties the whole game, so it's not as big a thing as it was the first couple weeks. Now, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to pick apart the 2 penalties because it's a football game. They're going to happen at some point inevitably. It's just part of the game. But hey, we've done a much better job being more disciplined, not getting caught with all these false starts and too many men in the huddle like we did early on in the season. So we've gotten better with that. So that's something to be proud of right there. And we see it each week. We're playing more and more disciplined. And that's a good thing right there. Now, Sirianni does say, now as far as us, the one thing we need to improve on scoring in the second half, Sirianni says it's going to come soon. I hope he at least hinted at it in the postgame. Was either the postgame press conference or an interview, but I hope he does do that right there. But hey, you know what? I'm not going to harp on that too much. We're doing what we need to do. We got in the red zone 4 times. We scored 3 of those times right there. So there's a lot of good. I mean, even then, we still got 136 rushing yards. So even with us struggling against the run with the Cowboys, overall, because I got it on ESPN.com. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to show it, but I will copy the link into the live chat. So if anyone coming in wants to see it for themselves, you can see it. So there it is right there. You can copy and paste that right there. So if you guys want to check it out, you can check it out. So they got 134 total rushing yards. We got 100. 36. So we still got more rushing yards than them. Even with that being said, I mean, the Cowboys did get more passing yards than us, but what does that really mean at the end of the day? They threw 3 picks. Their quarterback did. Our quarterback didn't throw any interceptions. Our quarterback threw 2 touchdown passes. So more passing yards don't mean anything at the end of the day. Okay, just because it may be equate to decent. I mean, obviously in today's era, we overrate passing yards because of fantasy football, but don't matter in this case. Don't matter right there. But we did get, we did give him, we controlled time of possession too, which is always a key right there. So obviously a lot of good to take away from this game. Only things here that I can say that, I mean, I pretty much said everything I was going to say right here about this game right here. So it's going on close to 30 minutes, which I expected to happen. So hey, I got to give credit to the Eagles. We're 6-0 right there. Third time in franchise history we're doing that right there. And obviously, Sky, things are looking up for us. We're looking like we could be contenders right there. And there are some things we can work on, which I just did talk about in this recap right there. Now, I'm not going to have a preview video for this upcoming week, obviously, since the Eagles are on a bye week. I might be thinking about coming up with a replacement for that for either Friday or Saturday this upcoming week. I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. If I do got a show planned on the Hardcore Sports Network and the Nikki Stees channel for later this week as a substitute while the Eagles are on their bye week, I'll let you know if there is one. I'll post it on my Twitter right there, so you guys know about it if that is the case. But yes, as of right now, though, hey, I don't have anything planned for an upcoming preview since the Eagles are on their bye week. But hey, you know what? Hey, obviously we need our bye week right there. Obviously, the players can get some rest. We can just stay away. Obviously, players stay away from the buffets a little bit right there. As Andy Reid said to the Eagles going into their bye week back in 2004. Stay away from the buffets. Stay in shape right there. I mean, do take a little bit of time to rest since it is the bye week. But don't get too comfortable just sitting back on the couch playing video games. If the players want to do that a little bit, play a little bit of Fortnite, play a little bit of 2K, or Madden, or whatever the case is, all power to him. Even Big Play Slay wants to play MLB The Show a little bit, which he does on his YouTube channel. I'm talking about Darius Slay, not Big Play Slay, the Eagles content creator. No disrespect to him, but I'm talking about Darius Slay Jr. here, because he does some YouTube gaming videos. If those guys want to do a little bit this week, all power to him, but mainly to the Eagles players, stay in football shape. You know what I'm saying? Don't start eating a bunch of unhealthy foods just because it's your bye week. Get a little bit of rest, but also make sure you do enough to stay in football shape on your bye week. So that way you can come back next week fresh, ready to practice, ready to prepare for the Steelers. So I'm going to really say right there, fly, Eagles, fly. And one last thing. If any Philadelphia 76ers fans are in on this, at 7:30 tonight, again on the Nikki Stees channel and the Hardcore Sports Network, I'll be doing a play-by-play of the Sixers season opener against the Boston Celtics at the TD Garden. So I'll be back with that at 7:30. You can tune in on the Nikki Stees channel or the Hardcore Sports Network for that later tonight. Just be on the lookout for that. Everyone that tuned in here, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this recap right here. If you haven't done so already, drop a like to help out the algorithm. Subscribe to the Hardcore Sports Network and the Nikki Stees channel if you're new. If you're going to come back for the Sixers stream, I hope to see you there. All right, it's Nikki Stees signing off, and I'll be back later for Sixers play-by-play.